Great. Okay, can everyone hear me okay? Giving some nods and some thumbs. Perfect. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Leah Levac. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm based in the Treaty Territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit here at the University of Guelph. I'm one of the co-directors of the Gender-Based Indigenous Intersectional Impact Assessment Network, or the GiiA Network. And I'm will just note that the session is being recorded so that we can put it in the members only section of our website so that folks have it to refer to as needed. If you want to ask questions at the end that you don't want to have recorded, please feel free to let us know, and we're happy to turn the recording off during the Q&A. We just want to capture the detail of the session primarily. So this is our first webinar of this year. We'll also be hosting a series of network gatherings over the course of the year and continuing to work on producing outputs. So we look forward to your ongoing participation in those various ways. Next slide, please. So just before we get started, I want to extend my own acknowledgement of my place here. Like I said, in the Treaty Territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This is also the Dish with One Spoon territory. But members of the GiiA Network, live and work across many territories of what is today known as Canada. Part of the motivation for the existence of this network is really our recognition of the ongoing effects of colonialism on the experiences of Indigenous people and in the context of resource development and extraction, and particularly the disproportionate ways that plays out in the lives of many Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse folks. So, part of our work through this network is to continually work to advance that understanding by building better tools and knowledge around how we incorporate gender-based analysis plus, or intersectionality as we think about it, and also Indigenous knowledges and rights into the process of undertaking impact assessment. Next slide. The GiiA Network is co-hosted by the Canadian Research Institute for the Advancement of Women and the Live Work Well Research Center at the University of Guelph. They support the administrative and knowledge mobilization functions of the network. So we're really grateful to them. And we also want to recognize that the network last year and this year is funded through the Impact Assessment Agency of Canada's research program. And so we are grateful to IAC for the financial support. And I will now, so I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to pass it over to Natasha Dixon, who is one of the research associates that works on this team, who's going to walk us through this sort of what this Zotero database is, how you access it, and then show us give us an example of how you can use it. And we should have lots of time for questions as well. Thanks everyone again for being here, and over to you, Natasha.
Hi, good afternoon, folks. As Leah had said, my name is Natasha, and likewise, I'm also located in the Credit First Nations territory, but more specifically, I'm in Mississauga. As for what we're going to cover today, I'm going to first start off with a background on what the Zotero Library is. Then we'll get more into the initial stages of logging in, so how to log into the website or the app. Then we'll discuss reviewing the folders and the tag lists. And then towards the latter portion of the presentation, I will have the demonstration, and then we'll have some time for the Q&A. So first, as for a background on the GiiA Network Zotero Library, one of the purposes why we had founded our own group libraries through Zotero is to help compile a variety of resources that have been thematically organized to help answer some of the tricky and challenging questions, and to provide support with your research, project, program development, and to help you to answer some of those questions that you may have. So in terms of the documents, which I will be showcasing in the latter portion of this presentation, is that it provides you with access to review case studies, reports, policies, etc., as well as promising practices on how you can apply CRIAW Plus within the work that you do. So in addition to that, it also helps you to learn from a variety of territories, cities, and countries and their approaches to impact assessment. So it can help provide you with the resources needed to help do a cross comparison, for instance, to see how different geographical regions and their approaches to IA. And in terms of one of the benefits, as well as the composite of resources, is that they were all selected with an intersectionality lens in mind and a community focus as we are presenting forward a culturally sensitive approach. So more specifically, what that looks like is that within the different resources, there are mentions on how the researchers as well as the participants have their own cultural approaches, interpretations to research, and that can include guidelines, principles, etc. So we do address how different communities and regions can have their own approach to what they think is appropriate and acceptable. So now, as for logging into the GiiiA Network Zotero Library, before we get into that aspect, have any of you used Zotero before? You can raise your hand or nod. Okay, I can't see. It looks like about maybe a quarter or 20%. So with that, we will provide, okay, thank you for letting us know, Rosalind. With that, we've provided a link within the chat here, so you are able to click on it so you can create your own account for Zotero. And in terms of creating the account, you are able to use your preferred credentials. So in the sense that your preferred email address and how you would like to access the library towards the end of the, how you like to access the library from now on and to the end of the presentation. So if you wanted to use the email address that you have to access this presentation, for instance, you're welcome to use that, whichever works for you. So with that, as
So
your
maybe,
Mhm.
sorry, Natasha, maybe we just take a couple minutes then, since most folks don't have a Zotero account. You won't have access to the library right away, but if you want, you can go ahead and click on that link and just fill out your email, your password, and hit register at the bottom, and then you will have a Zotero account.
So maybe we can give folks about 3 or so minutes so they can do that, and then we'll move forward with the rest of the presentation.
And if anyone has any trouble, just unmute yourself or pop a note in the chat. Okay, so we'll give it one more minute. Thanks, Lois, for letting us know. And maybe just a note here as well. We'll carry on. There are screenshots all through. Natasha's done a great job of you being able to visualize it. So once you get into the process of actually trying to access the library, if you do have trouble, you can contact us and we can just help you navigate it one-on-one. Go ahead, Natasha.
All right. So thank you for indicating whether or not you've used it before. If you have any questions or if there's some terms that we bring up that kind of sound that are not as familiar as soon as you hear it, no problem. We're here to answer your questions at the end. So in terms of what the interface looks like, once you do click on the link, it will provide you with three different indications here. So for most folks in this scenario, you'll be choosing register for your free account, at which it will direct you to insert your preferred credentials and your own password, etc. And because I was already logged in, it says welcome. But once you have logged in, you will be accessing the group libraries through the web library section. So this screen grab that I have here is from the website option of how you log in. So on the far left here, you'll click web library and it will open it up for you. Now we'll get into the group libraries. So in terms of the distinction, which I'll show in the next slide here, you usually have your My Libraries at the top and group libraries at the bottom. You'll be accessing the GiiiA Network libraries once you receive the email invitation from us. This is what the bar of all the folders will look like in terms of the group library. So in terms of the folders, we've categorized them based off of the overarching topic at hand. So when you're going through, when we're going through the document during the demonstration, you'll see that a particular topic or subject matter, it may be applicable to cultural and economic impacts, but in terms of how we've organized it for readability, we've added the documents to the folder that they most closely align with, but if they align with others, so for instance, if one of the documents that you read says it has economic and cultural, even though it applies, you're still able to access it. So in the sense that even though you may see a document within cultural folder, we will show you later on how you're able to also access it in the tags. The reason why we have this, one of the reasons why we have this folder system is to help access the documents faster. So if you have a particular question in mind that is specific to economic or environmental impacts, you're able to go through that folder and see the most relevant documents. And also, because of how Zotero's interface is created, we cannot add documents to multiple folders. So we had to choose one that was most or best applicable in this sense. Now, as for the tags list, the tags, which I'll show you in the forthcoming slides, tags are like a label or sticky note that's added to documents just for the sake of categorizing. So in a demonstration, I'll show tags are one of the ways that you can access documents. So in terms of how and why it's used, it's a very relatively quick way where you're able to use a particular keyword to help search for a relevant document that you're looking for, as well as other documents that have that keyword in mind. And Leah, if you have anything that you'd like to add, you're welcome to interject.
Yeah, well, so maybe so if you can picture that all of the documents are in a folder, but the tags work across all folders. So ultimately, it doesn't really, I mean, it matters for organizational purposes, but for your searching purposes, it doesn't ultimately matter which folder it's in because the tags work across the folders. So if it's been tagged because it happens in Alberta, you'll find it from anywhere in the library, for instance.
Exactly. So you're able to access it at any point, even if it's not in one particular folder. So in terms of where the tags are located, once you log in and you're in the libraries, it will be on the bottom right hand of your screen. So this is a screen grab to show you the tags that are applicable to the document that I selected. So it specifically states Alberta, Canada, it's a case study, and it specifies on environmental impact. So these are some of the tags or labels that help you to identify what are the main themes or keywords that are specific to the document that you're looking at the time. As for the group libraries, how I said earlier, the distinction between the My Library and the group libraries, what you are accessing once you receive the invitation from us to read and preview the documents, it will be the group library. So it should say GiiiA Network members. And as it relates to all the tags for all of the documents in this scenario, in the overarching folder called GiiiA Network members are all listed here. So with that, when I go into the demonstration, you'll be able to see how you can select each tags or multiple tags that are specific to the document that you're looking for. In terms of some of the indicators of the tags, they are separated by country, gender, focus area, etc. So to help you more easily find the documents that you're looking for that will be relevant to the research or topic at hand. Now, as for the added values of joining the network library, you will have full access to the resources that we have collected, which includes over 600 key resources that we have combed through and finally selected to add to the library. So in that sense, they have been vetted to make sure that they're relevant and that they are helping to address different aspects of either IA or CRIAW plus, as well as it helps to give a clear organizational overview of the subject matter that is important to GiiiA, as well as helpful to GiiiA and helpful to assisting you in the research program policy project development that you're doing to help you find exactly what you need, because there are a wide array of tags as well as themes that are listed within the library itself. So as for joining the accessing the library, your ability to access the library is predicated on being a member within the network. So within that context, you're welcome to reach out to the coordinator, Josée Daris, who is here with us. And her email address is listed here, so you're welcome to inquire further about joining the membership. As well as if you have a document or resource that you would like us to add to the library, you're also welcome to share them with Josée, and it will be uploaded on your behalf. Okay, before we get to the Q&A, I will move forward with the demonstration piece.
Just while Natasha's getting that set up, I'll just let everybody know. So because you're in this meeting, it likely means that you're already a member of the network, because that's how you would have heard about it. So our next step in this process is to send you out an invitation. And like we said, if you have any trouble setting up your own Zotero account so that then you can accept the invitation to join the library, you just reach out to us and we'll help you get it organized, okay? If anybody else wants access to the library, send them our way to become a member of the network. And the last thing, just one more little detail, in addition to the important point that Natasha made about, being helpful for research and thinking about policy, also really, another goal is for it to be really useful to practitioners. So people who are conducting impact assessments, who are working for proponents in an effort to conduct impact assessments, for public servants who are responsible for reviewing draft assessments, and so on. So, look at it from your vantage point and your work as a practitioner or researcher. And if there are ways that it can serve you better, please let us know, because we'll keep refining it to try and make it be the most useful resource possible.
Thank you for plugging the network again. So again, to reiterate, we're making it available for practitioners as well as researchers and the full spectrum of folks who are looking to apply CRIAW+. In terms of the website here, I've just shared my desktop just so it's easier for me to show and indicate how I'm adding documents. But once you are logged in, this is what the website's interface looks like. So it will essentially show the same tabs here that were part of the screen grab shown in the presentation slides. And I'm going to click Web Library. So here under My Library, it will show the documents For the folks who are creating an account from scratch, it will not indicate any documents in my library because this is what you upload through your own account for your purposes. But once you have received the invitation email to access the group libraries, here's where you'll find all the documents that we have uploaded. So this overarching folder here called GiiiA Network Members lists all the documents that we have uploaded. So it is a compilation of all of the documents from these folders listed here. And as indicated previously, these tags or labels are located in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. So here has all the relevant tags which you can choose from to help you to identify the documents or resource that you're looking for. So in terms of the focus, which is adding a document, I'm going to add a document that I have saved on my folder, my files, and we're just going to go through the plus sign. So the first method that was displayed. So this is how we are adding documents to the library for you to read and add access. So I typically choose upload file just because that's the quickest method. Then hold on. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to stop in. It doesn't automatically go to the folder I'm trying to get to. Here. So here I'll select one of these documents here. Because within this overall group library, it's listed in alphabetical order, I'm just going to scroll down to the title. Oftentimes, once a document is added, they usually are able to populate the information such as the author, the source, etc., based off the information that is already listed within the document itself. So under the tags, for instance, in some cases, whether the document, because of the documents, some of them that we are using have already been existing within our previous libraries. In some cases, they may or may not have tags, but essentially let me open the document so we're able to look at it. So once you open the relevant document/resource, we are often taking the route of identifying relevant tags through reading the first few paragraphs or the summary. So document itself is essentially about trades workforce, offshore wind industry. So once we've reviewed the summary and we find the relevant keywords or tags that align with what we have here, the overall list, then we add them under the tag section here of the documents. And we just type what we find is relevant to it. So in this scenario, the tags here are all capitalized. So in a scenario where if a document is added and so let's say for Africa, for instance, if Africa is written starting with a lowercase letter, then it will come up as its own new tag. And so if we're looking for a document now, because that would be helpful to the research and work that you're doing, does anyone have a suggestion or a topic that they would like to look for? As an alternative, I can pick from the tag list. Okay, I don't see any hands. Oh,
Oh, Lois has just sent a message to me. So I'm just going to read it out loud. Can you look for something that's tagged with the Yukon and socioeconomic assessment to see if anything comes up? Oh, there it is. Thanks, Lois, for the suggestion.
thank you for the suggestion. Yes, so in this scenario, what I will do is first check our tags to see if we already have any documents tagged with the words that you had mentioned. So I'll just type in the word Yukon. So we have Yukon here. So we already have 4 documents relevant and environmental, socio-economic assessment. Okay. Social impacts in Southwest Yukon. So this might be relevant to what you're searching for because it does mention social impacts as well as the Southwest Yukon. So there's 4 documents here. So in this scenario, might be helpful to either check whether we have the abstract there, or you can double click on the link itself and it will show the resource. So instead of, in many cases, if it's a journal article or if it's a section of a book, instead of it's pointing you to the book and you have to go in behind a paywall and everything else, it will just open up the exact document for you on your behalf.
So maybe just a couple of points here on this. One is that what Natasha's just said is particularly probably useful for the non-university affiliated folks on the call. So we're able to share documents directly with you through Zotero that you might otherwise not have access to, which is a great benefit of this. Because they are all housed in full form instead of just linked somewhere else. And then the other thing is that when you are looking for documents, you can add one tag at a time, as Natasha is doing. So she started by adding the Yukon. If at this point you only get 4 documents, um, you probably don't need to add any more tags. You could open each of those documents and have a quick look and see if they are relevant. And if you don't find those, then you can remove the Yukon tag and try a different tag of the other intersection that you're interested in, because you might then find information about court decisions, for instance, although not in the Yukon or whatever. So you can add and remove any combination of tags that you want to either try and expand or narrow your search within that database.
So it could be because of my Wi-Fi access, because I tried 3 different documents and the PDFs are not opening. In this scenario, I could also open it through the web app version of Zotero.
Well, we've only got 10 minutes left, so why don't we just start by seeing if folks have some questions in terms of either how to access it or what they might find. I see another suggestion for possible.
It says water governance and treaty rights. I could try for that as well. Oddly, the PDFs are not opening for me, but it seems like just the website links are opening through my computer. So Leah, do let me know if I should try through the app instead, or if it would be best just to field Q&A questions.
just start with questions and see, because I think you get the idea that once you've added tags and narrowed a section of links or documents, if you just click on that document, it will, when the internet is not being glitchy, open for you. Does anyone have any questions for us?
I can ask a quick question. Thank you, Natasha and Leah. Um, yeah, so my name's Nick Grzybelski. I work in the Yukon doing impact assessment. I'm a policy officer, so I don't really get too involved in the actual writing of assessments, but I do support assessors, and I think a tool like this is really useful to provide a resource to, well, anyone, but particularly assessors, to kind of go and look at what um, is kind of useful information when they're trying to understand effects in the communities, for example. It's been a while since I've used Zotero. Like I used it for my master's like 10 years ago. And I recall at that time some of the functions of, being able to organize data or, you know, you can highlight and theme certain paragraphs and it'll automatically pull it into a kind of a separate document if you're reviewing, a few different documents at once. Just wondering if you could speak a little bit about some of those functions that Zotero offers, or is it just kind of you're proposing just using it as a kind of a web library?
Those are excellent questions. So in terms of my experience with the Zotero library that we have here, um, it might be better because you can highlight certain sections as you had mentioned. So if not like me, but if your Wi-Fi connection is working correctly and you're able to access the documents, it would show a function where you're able to highlight, add post-it notes, and add questions into the document. So it's more interactive in that manner. But because it's access shared across all of the GiiA members within that sense, a lot of those notes that you're taking would be viewed by others. So in that sense, um, it may be more helpful to perhaps download it or try and copy and paste it into my library. So let's say if for this week or one day you have 3 documents that you found were really helpful to your project or 10, however it may be, if you copy them and put them into your my library, so then you would be able to highlight, take notes, etc. So that way that one, your notes stay saved so that we were able to access them again. And two, so that for example, so someone else doesn't accidentally delete a post-it note or a highlight that you had made. But that is definitely one of the really helpful functions when you're able to access the documents is to be able to take notes specific to the questions that you're trying to answer for your project that you're working on.
Great, thank you. That's helpful.
Are there any more questions? Mm,
Natasha, could you maybe just say, you were referencing the web versus the desktop. Can you just, for folks who aren't familiar with this um, software, explain a little bit more what that means?
for sure. I could also, would it be beneficial for me to also walk through the application version or just to iterate that this is what we're using as the website one?
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll have time, so maybe I was sorry. I feel like I'm answering my question in the answering of your question, but just simply to say that there is such a thing as the ability to embed Zotero onto your own desktop so
Mhm.
that then you can access it directly from your computer.
Mhm.
But for your purposes, mostly, that's probably not necessary. You probably just need to log in online, find the articles you're interested in, and pull them out and then use them, either like Natasha said, put them in your own personal library or pull them to wherever you want to be able to use them.
Exactly. So referring
There's
back
a
to,
how can we save an article in our personal library? Do you want to do, you could do one of those, Natasha, as a demonstration for Jessica.
okay.
Thanks for that question, Jessica.
Oh, I don't, okay. I was gonna say, since it's not letting me, okay, I'm just gonna troubleshoot as I go, because I was thinking, since it's not letting me open it into a new tab, usually if it, when it opens and the document actually displays, there's a download option, but um,
I think you might just be able to duplicate it and then drag it into your library.
okay, I'm gonna try that, because I'm thinking in that instance, let's see, because I'm wondering if the duplicate will remain. So through the website, it's not letting me.
No.
No, but what I can do is that I can, maybe after this presentation, I can try seeing if it works better through the app version, if you're able to copy and paste it. But at the moment, I can't drag it over. I'm not sure if that's limited because we're using the website version, and so it doesn't read it or match it. Yeah, to my understanding, the main way would be through view PDF, and then you can click download. Yeah, I can't drag and drop.
Okay, so Jessica, we'll have to get back to you on that question. I'm not sure what is the easiest way to do it. The alternative that Natasha is suggesting is that you just download the document and then re-upload it into your library, which would work. And there might be an easier option as well, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
My apologies, I'm not able to help on this front right now because their documents are not showing for me on my computer. But when you are able to access it, it should be able to indicate download at the top bar as one of the options.
Does anyone have any final questions before we log out? And you can anxiously sit at your email inbox to await your invitation to the GiiA Zotero Library. Okay. Well then, maybe you could stop sharing the screen for just a minute, Natasha. My little banner across the top. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to be here today. Once you get your invitation, if you have any trouble accessing the library, please just send an email to the GiiA coordinator email. Josée will drop it in the inbox or in the chat again. And we can either troubleshoot with you via email, or someone can jump on a quick call with you to get you set up. And then once you've had a chance to fiddle around in there a little bit, if there are things you're looking for and can't find, and or if you find things on your own that you'd like us to add, we're happy to turn this into the most useful resource that it can be, like Natasha said when she started. So we'll look forward to building it with you as we go. And with that, we will bid you farewell.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Nick. Nice to see
Thanks.
everyone.
I'm gonna stop